It was 9:13 p.m. when my phone lit up on my desk, and for once I thought it was going to be a thank you. I'd just authorized a transfer for $41,275 from my savings, money I'd built brick by brick across 5 years of overtime, canceled vacations, and the kind of I'll replace it later compromises that quietly turn into a lifestyle. That transfer was supposed to be the final payment for my sister's wedding venue, the last big piece, the moment where I could finally exhale and tell myself, "See, you did something good. You showed up." My office was almost silent except for the low, steady hum of the server rack by the wall and the soft click of my mechanical keyboard cooling down under my hands. The ceiling lights were dimmed. My monitors still showed a dashboard of fraud alerts from earlier, patterns, anomalies, tiny human mistakes translated into clean red flags. My job is to find what doesn't fit. I'm good at it. I built a career on it. So when I glanced at my phone, I expected a heart, a happy crying face, maybe a badly timed meme. Instead, I got a text from my sister, Rowan. "Just a heads up, you're not coming to the ceremony. We're keeping it very curated and you don't match the look." My brain tried to reject it like spam, like maybe the message was meant for someone else, like the words didn't belong in my life. I stared at the screen long enough for it to dim, then tapped it again and reread it, slower, as if careful reading would change the meaning. Curated. The look. You don't match. Then another notification slid down from the top. My mother, Diane, had reacted to Rowan's message with a laughing emoji. Not a question. Not a call. Not even a, "What are you talking about?" Just laughter. It wasn't dramatic in the way movies make betrayal dramatic. There was no music swell, no broken glass, no sudden shouting. It was quieter than that, which somehow made it worse. The air in the room felt like it had been replaced with something thinner. I swallowed and realized I'd been holding my breath. I didn't throw my phone. I didn't scream. When a system fails, you don't rage at the system. You isolate the fault. You review the logs. You fix the exploit. So I set my phone face down beside my coffee mug, the one I kept refilling with burned office coffee because I never remembered to go home before the cafeteria closed. I pulled my banking app back up on my monitor, logged in, and scrolled through the transaction history with the same calm detachment I used when I was hunting for a compromised account. There it all was, lined up like evidence. $7,500 3 months ago for the initial venue deposit because Rowan couldn't risk someone else taking our date. $3,250 to a florist who specialized in imported blooms because Rowan said local flowers looked sad on camera. $6,800 to a planner who described herself as a wedding architect, which should have been my first clue that I was funding a performance, not a marriage. $1,900 for custom linen rentals and vintage cutlery, because apparently forks are only valid if they look like they've been handled by French nobility. And now today's transfer, $41,275. Next to it, in small gray text, was one beautiful word: pending. Pending means the money hasn't fully left yet. Pending means there's still time to stop it. Pending means the universe has given you a narrow, almost cruel window to decide whether you're going to keep being the person your family uses or finally be the person you protect. My mouse hovered over the transfer details. My hand was steady. That surprised me. I thought I would be crying. I thought I would be shaking. I thought I would be devastated. But my feelings didn't arrive first. Clarity did. Rowan wasn't uninviting me because of an aesthetic. That was the excuse she knew would land cleanly in our family, because image was our religion. She was uninviting me because my utility had expired. The final payment had been sent. The transaction was complete. I wasn't a sister in her story. I was a funding source with legs. I thought about my own life for a second, my apartment with the rattling heater, the thrift store dining table I'd been meaning to replace, the secondhand couch that still smelled faintly like someone else's detergent no matter how many times I cleaned it. I thought about how I took the train to work because parking downtown was ridiculous, how my lunches were mostly leftovers and protein bars, how I wore neutral blazers because they were dependable, not because anyone would ever tag them in a photo. Then I thought about Rowan posting wedding prep content like she was producing a series, how my mother had been telling everyone, loudly, that our family was doing something really elegant, how their friends commented about how lucky Rowan was, how supported she was, how beautiful it all looked. I'd been writing checks so they could cosplay a life they didn't earn. I was the back-end code. And nobody wants to see the code. They just want the app to run. My phone buzzed again. I didn't flip it over yet. I didn't want any more input until I finished the only task that mattered. I clicked into the pending transfer and hit cancel. A prompt popped up. Are you sure you want to cancel this transfer? Yes. Another prompt. This action cannot be undone. Confirm. The screen refreshed. The pending status vanished. My balance shifted back as if the last hour had been a fever dream. I sat there for a second, staring at the numbers. Not because I felt guilty, because my body had finally learned what relief felt like. Then I opened my email. I didn't write a long message. I didn't beg for an explanation or ask what I could do to match the look. I typed 3 words to Rowan. Understood. Good luck. That was it. Then I opened the vendor portal for the venue. Of course, the password was saved, because of course I had been the one organizing everything, coordinating payments, forwarding forms. Rowan loved the idea of being a bride. She hated the admin of being a client. I navigated to the booking page and found the button, Cancel Event. A warning box popped up. Cancellation within 30 days will incur a fee of 40% of the total contract. I read it. I absorbed it. I clicked Confirm. A cancellation confirmation page loaded, bright and cheerful, like it didn't understand it had just detonated someone's life. I moved to the next vendor. Rentals. Cancel. Next, transportation. Cancel. Next, the wedding content team Rowan had hired. Yes, that was a real thing. Cancel. The notifications began pouring into my inbox like system alerts. Cancellation confirmed. Request received. Refund initiated. Contract termination acknowledged. My phone started vibrating hard enough to rattle against the desk. Rowan calling. Again. Again. My mother calling. Again. I let it go. When I finished canceling everything I could access without being on the phone with a human being, I finally flipped my phone face up and read the messages that had been stacking like a slow-motion avalanche. Rowan. What did you do? Rowan. The venue is calling me. Rowan. Answer me right now. Diane. Stop. This is not funny. Diane. You're acting unstable. Diane. Do you want to ruin your sister's life? That word, unstable, was the family's favorite weapon. In our house, unstable never meant dangerous. It meant inconvenient. It meant I had boundaries. It meant I didn't smile on command. It meant I asked questions when something didn't add up. It meant I saw the seams in their performance and refused to pretend they weren't there. I stared at my mother's texts and felt my jaw unclench. My shoulders dropped, like my body was finally done bracing for impact. I replied to Diane with one sentence. I'm not paying to be laughed at. Then I put my phone on Do Not Disturb and went back to my monitor. Because the truth is, once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. And I had started wondering how long this pattern had been running. So I did what I do for a living. I ran an audit. The next morning, I didn't go to therapy. I didn't call a friend and sob into the phone. I didn't make a dramatic social media post. I went to work, grabbed a small conference room, and asked my coworker Jalen for a favor. Jalen is the kind of person who thinks in checklists. He's calm in crises. He's the guy you want next to you when an alarm goes off because he doesn't freeze. He starts documenting. I told him the short version. I'd paid for my sister's wedding, got uninvited, and I suspected there was more. He didn't make a face. He didn't give me a pity look. He said, "Okay, let's pull everything." So we did. Bank statements, credit card statements, payment app records. the whole messy ecosystem of modern financial life. We projected it on the big screen in the conference room, the way we do when we're tracing fraud rings through a series of small charges that add up to a disaster. At first, it was exactly what I expected: death by 1,000 cuts. A bridesmaid emergency transfer that landed the same weekend Rowan went to a music festival. A vendor deposit that matched the exact price of a designer handbag I'd seen on her Instagram stories 2 days later. A hotel booking labeled site visit that included a spa package and champagne. Jalen scrolled quietly, occasionally making a low sound in his throat, like he was watching a car crash happen in slow motion. Then he paused. There was a charge on my credit card from 16 days earlier, $9,120. Merchant, Solara Renewal House. Jalen clicked into the details and pulled the invoice from my email archive because the receipt had been sent to the address tied to my card. My name was on the billing line, but the confirmation email, the one with the check-in instructions and the schedule, had been forwarded to a different address. Rowan's. Jalen looked at me and said, "She put your card in her wallet." I stared at the screen. It hit me in a place that had nothing to do with money, because I remembered the moment. Rowan had asked for my card, just temporarily, for a vendor deposit. I'd given it to her on the couch while she was scrolling through mood boards, and she'd smiled and said, "You're literally saving my life." And I'd felt useful. I'd felt chosen. It wasn't temporary. It was access. I took a breath and said, "Okay." Then I called my credit card company. The fraud department representative was polite in that careful way people are when they know your life might be unraveling and they don't want to poke it. She asked if the charge was authorized. I said no. She asked if I recognized the merchant. I said, yes. She asked if I knew who made the purchase. I said, yes. There was a brief pause, and then her voice shifted into a different gear, more procedural, more precise. She explained the dispute process. She created a case number. She told me my card would be replaced. She reminded me to update any recurring payments. When she said, "You may also want to review any other shared financial access," it felt like someone had finally said the quiet part out loud. Shared access. That was the whole story of my family. I went home that night and didn't watch TV. I didn't make dinner. I pulled out an old storage box from my closet, the one with documents I never looked at because looking at them meant looking at grief. My father died when I was 20. Sudden heart failure. One of those phone calls you never forget because it splits your life into before and after with surgical precision. After the funeral, my mother told me we were in trouble financially. She said he left debts. She said there was no safety net. She said I needed to be practical. So I became practical. I took on loans. I worked nights. I skipped opportunities because I couldn't afford unpaid but prestigious. I built my career on the idea that nobody was coming to save me. In the storage box, I found a folder labeled Estate. I expected funeral invoices, debt notices, maybe a few bank letters. Instead, I found a settlement statement from an insurance policy. Payout, $52,000. Beneficiary, trust for my education. Date, 10 years ago. I stared so hard at the page my eyes started to water, not from emotion at first, but from the strain of trying to make the words change. They didn't. I flipped the page and found a withdrawal authorization, a signature that was supposed to be mine. It was close, but wrong, like a person copying a painting they'd seen once. And the counter-signature at the bottom? My mother, Diane. I sat on my bedroom floor with that paper in my hands and felt something that wasn't sadness. It was a kind of ancient hunger. A memory of being 21, eating instant noodles for a week straight, staring at a textbook I couldn't afford, listening to my mother talk about how hard she was trying, while she was spending money that was meant to keep me fed. It wasn't just financial betrayal. It was the theft of time, of choices, of my future. My sister's early modeling opportunities, the expensive headshots, the trips, the clothes, suddenly they rearranged in my mind like a solved puzzle. The truth didn't enter gently, it slammed. I didn't call my mother that night. I didn't call Rowan. I scanned everything. I took photos. I backed it up twice. Then I booked a consultation with an attorney. Not because I wanted to destroy my family, because I wanted them to stop destroying me. 2 days later, I got a message from an unknown number. "Hi, this is Everett. Rowan's fiance. Can we talk? Things are chaotic. I don't understand what's happening." Everett. He was the polished one. The one Rowan kept talking about like he was a prize. The one from the kind of family that had framed degrees on the wall and quietly judged everyone else's shoes. I stared at the message for a long time. My first instinct was to ignore it. That's what I'd been doing. Withdrawing, closing doors, minimizing exposure. But the part of me that loves clean conclusions, clean data, wanted the record corrected. So I replied, "Meet me at 6 p.m. at Lark and Finch Cafe downtown." A neutral place, public, cameras, witnesses, no home field advantage for anyone. At 6 p.m., I was already seated in the back corner with a folder in front of me and a cup of coffee I barely touched. At 6:12, Everett walked in with Rowan. Rowan looked different. Not glamorous, not curated. Her hair was pulled back too tight. Her makeup was thick in some places and smudged in others, like she'd reapplied it while crying. She scanned the room like it was a hostile environment, and she was searching for an ally. Everett saw me and stopped. Not because he recognized me as Rowan's sister, because he recognized me from work. His eyes widened a fraction. He blinked and said, "Wait, you're Noah Mercer?" I didn't correct him immediately. I just watched him put it together. Everett worked at a medical device company that partnered with ours for compliance analytics. I'd been on calls with him. I'd sent him reports. I'd sat through meetings where he asked smart questions and expected real answers. He wasn't a shallow man. He was a detail man. "Yes," I said. "That's me." He looked at Rowan like someone had just moved the ground under his feet. Rowan's mouth opened, then closed. She looked irritated that reality had shown up without permission. "You know each other?" she said, too sharply. Everett's voice was careful. "You never told me your sister was her." Rowan snapped. "Because it doesn't matter." Everett looked back at me. "Rowan told me you were not doing well, that you were unreliable, that you couldn't hold down a job, that it would be messy to have you around." I nodded slowly, like I was acknowledging a data point. Rowan's face flushed. I said you wouldn't understand her vibe. Everett didn't laugh. He didn't smile. He didn't soften. He just sat down, still staring at me like his brain was rearranging a timeline. I slid the first document across the table, the credit card dispute case and the receipt from the retreat. Rowan's eyes went wide. "What is that?" I slid the second document across, the trust payout statement and the withdrawal authorization. Rowan's breath caught like she recognized the danger without understanding the details. Everett looked down and began reading. He didn't read every word. He didn't need to. Because while he was reading, Rowan was unraveling. Small movements, frantic blinking, a tremor in her hands. She kept glancing around the cafe like she expected someone to intervene and save her. Everett set the papers down carefully and looked at Rowan. "Did you tell me you were paying for this wedding?" Rowan's voice rose immediately. "I'm the bride. It's my wedding." "That's not what I asked," Everett said. Rowan's eyes flicked to me like I was the enemy she wanted to blame. "She's twisting everything. She's jealous. She hates me." Everett turned to me. "Have you been paying for it?" I didn't raise my voice. I didn't add drama. "Yes," I said. "I was, until I was told I wasn't invited." Everett stared at Rowan for a long moment. Then he said something that made the whole cafe feel quieter. "Rowan, why did you tell me your family had a trust?" Rowan's mouth opened again. Because we do. We have..." Everett didn't let her finish. "No, we don't do this. Not in my life, not in my house, not in a marriage." Rowan's eyes filled with tears instantly, as if she could switch emotions on like lighting. "Everett, please, it's just stress. I'm overwhelmed." Everett's voice stayed level. "Stealing from your sister isn't stress. It's a decision, Rowan hissed. She gave me the card. I leaned forward slightly. I gave you a card number for a deposit. You saved it and used it for a $9,120 retreat. Everett's jaw tightened. He looked down at the papers again, then back up at Rowan. And this, he said, tapping the trust document lightly. What is this? Rowan's voice turned small. I don't know. I didn't look at Rowan when I answered. I looked at Everett. It's an education trust from my father's insurance payout. It was withdrawn 10 years ago with a forged signature. The witness signature is my mother's. Everett went still. Rowan's head whipped toward me. Why are you doing this? You want to destroy me. I finally looked at her, really looked at her. I saw my sister the way people like Rowan never want to be seen. Ordinary, flawed, not the center of a beautiful story. Just a person who had been taking and taking because she'd been allowed to. I'm not destroying you, I said. I'm correcting the record. Everett pushed his chair back, stood up, and looked at Rowan. I'm calling my parents, he said. And I'm calling the planner. This is done. Rowan grabbed at his sleeve. No, please. This is humiliating. Everett pulled his arm away gently, like he was detaching from something toxic. You humiliated yourself, he said. You just didn't expect your sister to keep receipts. He turned to me. His eyes were full of something like regret. I'm sorry, he said. I didn't know. I know, I said, and he walked out without looking back. Rowan sat there for a second like she'd been unplugged. Then she turned toward me with pure rage, like anger was the only thing she had left that felt powerful. You're dead to me, she whispered. I nodded once. That's fine. She stood up so fast her chair scraped loudly against the floor. People looked. She didn't care, or maybe she cared too much and couldn't control it anymore. She stormed out of the cafe, leaving the papers on the table like she wanted to pretend they weren't real. But reality doesn't stop existing because someone walks away from it. That night, my phone started blowing up again. Calls from my mother, messages from unknown relatives, numbers I hadn't heard from in years, suddenly deciding they had an opinion on my life. The next morning, the venue emailed, We have received notice of cancellation. The planner emailed, Please confirm you still intend to terminate. Then Everett's family's attorney emailed, politely, asking for a brief call. My life turned into paperwork at high speed. Rowan posted a crying video online about betrayal and people who can't stand to see you happy. But the comment section wasn't sympathetic the way she thought it would be. People asked questions. People noticed inconsistencies. People remembered vendors she'd tagged and started connecting dots. And my mother showed up at my apartment that evening with Rowan in tow. I watched them on the security camera feed for a full minute before I opened the door, not because I was scared, because for the first time in my life, I was letting them feel what it was like to wait on me. When I finally opened it, I stayed in the doorway, blocking the entrance with my body. I didn't invite them inside. I didn't offer water. I didn't perform. Rowan's face was blotchy from crying. Diane looked pale, like she'd aged a year and 48 hours. Rowan started yelling immediately. You ruined my life! You're sick! You've always been sick! My mother grabbed her arm and hissed, Stop! Then Diane looked at me, eyes wet, voice trembling with the kind of desperation that used to hook me instantly. Noah, she said, using the softer tone she saved for when she wanted something. We need to fix this. You need to call Everett and explain. Tell him it was a misunderstanding. I stared at her. Lie to him, she added, like she was asking me to pick up milk. Rowan laughed through tears. Yes, just say you were stressed and you overreacted. You always overreact. My mother nodded rapidly. Protect your family. You don't do this to blood. The words, protect your family, landed differently now that I had documents proving she hadn't protected me. I spoke slowly, keeping my voice steady. Mom, you forged my signature. Diane flinched like I'd slapped her. Rowan's eyes darted between us. What are you talking about? Diane's voice cracked. Noah, please. That was years ago. I did what I had to do. For who? I asked. Silence. Rowan whispered, Mom? Diane's eyes filled up again. We were struggling. I didn't raise my voice. I was struggling. You told me there was nothing. You watched me take out loans. You watched me work nights. And you let me believe it was because there was no money. Diane's mouth trembled. I was trying to keep us afloat. I nodded once. You kept Rowan afloat. Rowan stepped forward, angry again, because anger was easier than understanding. This is ridiculous, she snapped. That money would have been wasted on you anyway. You don't even look at you. You don't belong in our world. Our world. That word. As if I hadn't paid for it. As if I hadn't been the scaffolding under their stage. I reached behind me to the small entryway table and picked up a large envelope I'd prepared earlier that day. Diane's eyes locked onto it like she already knew. What is that? She whispered. I held it out. It's copies of the dispute case, I said, and copies of the trust documents, and a letter from my attorney. Diane didn't take it at first. Her hands hovered, shaking. Rowan snatched at it like a child grabbing candy and flipped through the pages, her face twisting as she realized this wasn't a threat. It was a timeline. Rowan's voice went thin. You can't do this! Diane's voice dropped into a whisper. You wouldn't report me. I'm your mother. I met her eyes. I already did, I said. Diane made a small sound and covered her mouth. Rowan stared at me like she was seeing a stranger. Then my mother did something I didn't expect. She got angry. Her face hardened, and her voice sharpened into the exact tone she used when she wanted to put me back in my place. How dare you, she said, after everything I've done for you. I felt something inside me click into position, like a lock finally turning. You didn't do things for me, I said. You did things with me. Using me. Rowan scoffed, trying to recover her power. So what, you're just going to destroy us? Over a wedding? I looked at her. No, I said. Over a decade. Rowan opened her mouth to scream again, but my mother grabbed her arm and pulled her back, like Diane finally understood that the old tactics weren't working. Diane's voice softened abruptly. Noah, please. You don't know what this will do to us. I nodded slowly. I do. That's why I'm doing it. Diane's eyes searched mine, desperate for the old version of me, the one who would flinch at guilt and cave under pressure. But that version of me was gone. I said, goodbye, and I closed the door. I locked it. Then I leaned my forehead against the wood for a moment and listened. On the other side, there were muffled voices, Rowan crying, Diane whispering urgently, their footsteps fading down the hallway, and then silence. Not the lonely kind, the clean kind, the kind of silence that feels like a room after a storm when the air is clear and you can finally breathe. The weeks after were a blur of formalities. My credit card dispute progressed. The company refunded the Solara charge pending investigation. My attorney filed the proper notices. There were meetings, calls, signatures. Real ones this time. Everett sent one email to the guest list that simply said the wedding was canceled due to serious issues of trust and finances. It was calm. It was devastating. It didn't mention me. It didn't have to. My mother's friends stopped calling her back, not because they suddenly discovered morality, but because they feared proximity to scandal. People who love appearances hate consequences. Rowan tried to pivot online. New content, new narrative, new victim arc, but sponsorships dried up faster than she expected. Brands don't like complicated. They like clean. They like safe. And the strangest part? I didn't feel triumphant. I felt tired. Not the exhausted, hollow tired I'd carried for years. The tired that comes from being drained. A different tired. The kind you feel after moving heavy furniture out of a room you're finally renovating. One Sunday morning, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open to my budget spreadsheet. The same spreadsheet I'd been maintaining since college, back when I was counting quarters and calculating how late a payment could be before the fee hit. There was a category I'd labeled gently, as if kindness could make it less ugly. Family. It was a monthly number that represented all the little rescues, all the temporary help, all the just this once promises that turned into routine. I hovered my cursor over the row, then I highlighted it and hit delete. The spreadsheet recalculated instantly. My future looked different in numbers. Not glamorous, not Instagram-worthy, but possible. I closed my laptop, stood up, and made coffee with the cheap drip machine I'd been using for years because I always told myself I'd upgrade later. And then, because I could, I ordered a new espresso machine. Nothing fancy, nothing curated, just a solid machine that made good coffee and belonged to me. When it arrived, I set it up slowly, carefully, like I was building a small monument to my own life. I pulled the first shot, watched the dark stream fill the cup, and took a sip. It tasted like bitterness and warmth, and something else I couldn't name at first. Then I realized what it was. It tasted like my money staying in my account. It tasted like my time being mine. It tasted like a boundary that finally held. And if you're listening right now, if you're the person in your family who always pays, always fixes, always apologizes first, even when you weren't the one who broke it, I want you to hear this part clearly. Some people don't love you. They love the access they have to you. And the moment you revoke that access, they call it cruelty. They call you dramatic. They call you unstable. But what they really mean is, you're no longer useful. I used to think cutting people off had to be dramatic, like a final speech on a staircase, like a slammed door in the rain. But sometimes it's quieter than that. Sometimes it's a canceled transfer. Sometimes it's a deleted line item. Sometimes it's you sitting in a small apartment sipping coffee and realizing your life finally belongs to you again. So if you've ever had to delete family to save yourself, I get it, and I'm not laughing anymore.